Sugoi!
Oh,
it's
it's a
super
Sugoi.
smartphone. It's so Sugoi.
Actually,
this-
it's so casual. Look at them.
It's too casual this time.
Nobody's taking it seriously except Seomizu.
She's very serious. And the thing is, so I take it as what's his name? Zenichiro, the villain in this one.
Zenichiro.
He's like very overconfident, right? That's his style. And then I think Q is just he's like the most autistic jump character in a currently running series, isn't he?
In the currently running, yes.
Yeah, because he just like does not care about anything. He's just totally stone faced no matter what.
I did say that I would have preferred it if he was like sweating buckets right now.
Yeah, you'd think any normal high schooler, even a very smart one, would be super sweating at this part. I also noticed on here, did you see he's actually got a normal sized glass for his wine this time?
No, that's just the perspective. Because he's
holding it really low. Is that what?
Yeah, because look at the bottle. Bottles are standardized. The glass is almost bigger than the bottle.
Yeah, so he must just be holding it unusually low.
That's how perspective work.
So in this call, Q, as pseudonym, reiterates his previous statement to Seomizu that he wants to get the police on his side and accuse one of being the instigator.
I hate it, by the way, when they use a word that's not just a common word in English, but something that's very misleading, like one, for instance. Or do you remember in My Hero Academia where the Deadpool character is named twice?
Yes, yeah, I remember him.
I hate that.
Why?
Because when you talk about
English language comics that have names like that too. What's the problem?
Yeah, but it's never like when one said that XYZ and Q was Q is special enough too, but one
There's
is
a guy
bad. It's so confusing.
In James Bond called Q.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he was played by John Cleese in some of the movies. I think.
Not anymore.
Poor John Cleese. He's so close to death. Give him the roles before he goes. For one, I thought you were going to say it's like the author of One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Damn it. It's true. That's also bad. Why did he pick that name?
Probably because his first series was One Punch Man. But yeah, with this, I thought last week, I was like, oh, it's such a bad plan to just call first and have to just talk really fast to try to get something you want to be private said. And then in this one, he just repeats it. So I'm like, oh, I guess he didn't care about it being private after all.
It's kind of like when you have an American cartoon where the commercial is and before the commercial a cliffhanger happens, and then after the commercial they have to show it again. So when you stream it on the internet without the commercial, or when it's airing in another country that doesn't have these commercials in between, then it's just, oh no, what's going to happen next? And then, oh no, what's going to happen next? And then it happens.
Yeah, but even with the week break in between, I was still feeling like, oh, well, this is just repetitive when he does that.
Yeah, it's bad for tankable releases as well.
And it just went against my interpretation of the scene. I guess in a way it's better, because last week I was like, it's kind of dumb that he's just relying on Zenichiro not calling really quickly to be able to say stuff in secret.
Yeah,
but actually he doesn't care, so that's fine.
Exactly.
So then in the call, as well as Q announcing his intentions, Zenichiro says his intentions, which is he wants them both to join his side while he's hiding his true evil deeds. Yeah.
And he's trying to win, like he's trying to pass a charisma check.
Yeah, basically.
Call out.
But
and
because
they're not
Q
doing
is super autistic, it doesn't work. So he's like,
That's the reason.
You're the villain. That is the reason. It's like Predator said.
I think the main
it's
reason.
a superpower.
No, it's the main. The main reason is that they are voice only, and their voices are distorted. So
yes, it doesn't work as well. Yeah, doesn't he point that out later? Because anyway, so Sayumizu
I think that's
like,
the main reason why he does the thing.
Yeah. So she's like, let's cut to the chase. What do you guys want? So they say what they want, and then Q points out, don't you want to like do a psychological profile of one just based on how he's talking right now, and then tell me if that matches the psychological profile that you've been building for the high-rise investigator. And she's like,
instigator.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. Wrong word.
The investigator would be the good one.
That'd be herself. And she's like, oh yeah, they have the same psychological profile, so that gives credence to your thing, that maybe they're the same. Which is one of those things that's like, it's a clever way to imply that someone is the person you're after, but it's in no way proof, because I'm pretty sure in a lot of detective stuff, like I think in Sherlock Holmes, then doesn't Sherlock Holmes point out that he and Moriarty have the same psychological profile?
Well,
it's just that one is on the side of good and one is on the side of
evil. Holmes is also kind of dubious in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a novel idea to bring. That's kind of weird to say, because profiling is a thing.
Yeah, it's
and
a real thing.
Profiling works, and profiling in recent years has gotten like a bad reputation because people use it for like
profiling people online for YouTube drama.
Well, sure, that as well, and that's why I think it rarely gets brought up in Western detective dramas. And now Q bringing up like, hey, I've been profiling this guy throughout our call, and like, if you haven't noticed it yourself, he's kind of like he's kind of evil. Yeah, and I think just because it's fallen out of favor in fiction recently, that's why it feels really refreshing right now.
Yeah, but
I liked it, by the way. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying
it was fine. But what I liked is that afterward, so after this, Zenitro gets super mad because he's like, they're treating me like I'm a normal person. They're not falling for my charisma. So he decides he's going to reveal his name and face to them.
Reveal on his debut stream.
Face reveal. Jeez,
it's kind of like the Western VTubers who the tweeters who haven't streamed and then already like 10 retweets and I'll do a face reveal. Like, no, you're not supposed to do that.
Keep that on a different account. Don't do that here. Anyway. Yeah, he does his debut face reveal, and it's very surprising.
Yeah, because he's famous.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, we recognize his name already. But Q is still like, I think he's the bad guy. But the thing I liked is that after he calms himself down by doing his face reveal, then he is also mentally profiling Q.
Yeah, of course.
And it's natural, but I like that it shows that he's thinking like all these sort of things. So he's doing the same thing as Q did to him, but in reverse. And then he also reveals that he does have he wasn't lying. He has 2 other smartphone users on his side already.
It's kind of bad.
I know.
But also, doesn't that make those 2 other holders kind of a pushover?
Makes
like,
they
losers. Can't be all that. They must be losers.
Yeah, if they joined his side despite having the smartphone powers. Because like a guy like that, yeah, I can understand normal people joining his side if he's being really charismatic and has a ton of people who already follow him, so that they could just be like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But people with the smartphone the super smartphones, you think that they'd want to maintain more independence and be like, this guy's shady, I don't want to deal with him.
The thing with
Unless they're
Zenichiro
also
is
using him. What if one of the other smartphone users is actually a bigger villain than him? And it's like, pretend to be his lackey. It could be.
That could be. Like, pretending to be his lackey is probably one of the only ways to beat him, because Zenichiro, as soon as Zenichiro knows your identity,
he'll try to destroy you if you're not.
You're basically finished. He can do so much in a world where magic is in a world where money is everything. You're basically God if you're a billionaire like him,
right?
And you can just completely annihilate. As soon as he finds out who Q is, that's going to be a lot. They're very dangerous. And I'm not a fan of him being able to figure it out so quickly and so easily. And I also didn't like that Q, upon Zenichiro revealing himself, had the reaction of, why would he do that? He has nothing to gain from it.
He's just evil.
I didn't like that reaction, because suddenly he's doubting if maybe Zenichiro isn't the high-rise instigator.
Oh, just because that would be a natural doubt. Because the thing is, when he was talking about being so sure that one must be the high-rise instigator, I'm like, you really can't be sure. Just based on the psychological profile you put together in a few minutes of talking to him, it's like, that's not enough evidence. So I'm fine with him, doubting himself.
The evidence is that he asked him a leading question, and then when Zenichiro didn't immediately give him the information that somebody would have if they were on the good guy's side, then it kind of throws doubt about his motives. And
he's
acting
right. A little bit evil. So.
Because he considers the fact that as a smartphone holder, Zenichiro would know this. So if he was the good guy, he would also know and would have noticed the discrepancy with the
right. The guy being killed. Was that this week or last week? I can't remember.
It was this week.
That was this week. Oh, yeah,
it was immediately revealed.
Okay, we didn't mention that. It's Q points out that the high-rise raid incident wasn't just a random chaos thing, but that there was one person whose apartment was listed on the message to all the thugs as having way more money than he really had. And
which made him a very juicy
that it was
target.
It was actually a hit, that it was made to look like a mass robbery, but really it was to make this guy a target, to get him killed by thugs invading his home.
The interesting part about that is when Zenichiro thinks to himself, like, he got me. That is a reason. But
it's okay, because there's not enough connections between that guy and me in records.
Yeah, but the thing that's interesting is that he says that was one of 5 reasons why I did it.
Yeah. I bet one of them was just to cause chaos.
Yeah, obviously. But what are the other 3 reasons?
Good question. Maybe one of them is to try to draw out another super smartphone user.
Yeah, probably. What are the other 2 reasons?
Maybe one of them is just to measure himself, measure his own abilities.
You only get to say that when you're an Uchiha or a pickle.
What else would he have to do? Maybe there was somebody else or not somebody else that he wanted to get, but there was maybe there was an item there he wanted to steal. In actuality. So the most obvious thing.
Or maybe he was trying to get the price of the property down so he could build something there.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah.
Kind of like, do you know the meme where somebody says one of my neighbors shoots into the air 5 times per week, and when I ask him why he does that, he says trying to keep the prices low.
I haven't seen that, but that's funny. I've known people who have lived in neighborhoods where they'll have one neighbor who has a really long piece of land, and they'll be really obnoxiously loud. Like they would do fireworks on every single holiday for like a week, and they would set up a gun range on their land and just be like, you know, plinking away all the time, and it would be super loud and annoying. And it's like people would be like, oh, that's really annoying, but also it keeps the property prices down.
There's benefits and there's
yes, exactly,
the opposite of a benefit.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing about this chapter that I was thinking, where they're kind of profiling him on the go, and also like you know, letting him know that they're profiling him, is that I kind of wish that we got this scene before we got the previous scenes of Zenichiro where he confirms that he's the instigator. Because I'm like thinking, imagine if we, the audience, were in the same shoes as Seomizu, who's like, who do I believe? Who's
that would have been a
this
good
kid
reveal.
Paranoid, or is this guy really the villain? And then like later on, get the reveal like, yeah, he's definitely the villain. I think that would have
been
added a lot more suspense to it. Because I remember in general, we both hated his introduction page, didn't we?
Yeah, it was useless.
Where it's just like, here he is, the bad guy. So it would have been better if we were in charge of this. I would tell the author to
it should have been entirely from Q's perspective, or at best Seomizu's perspective only. And only once he says, I figured you out because I was profiling you.
Yeah.
Only then you'd get a shot of him being like really angry.
Being super evil. Yeah. Doing the evil face. This isn't really evil face, just angry face. Get a shot of him doing this face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need to make Zenichiro truly a threatening villain. So this billionaire, he needs to be at least as threatening as a guy who teaches comedy performances. That's what he needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, how did you rate this chapter?
The
mind games.
Wait, where's my ratings?
I said 6 out of 10 because I was like, yeah, the mind games are kind of neat, and I like both of them profiling each other during the call at the same time.
I wrote down 71. For the same reasons, but
I felt very strong. I felt a lot of strong
missed opportunities.
Yeah, missed opportunities.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Going on. Let's see if the next one has any missed opportunities, because we got Elusive Samurai.
Yeah.
How did you like this one? The title is Shadow 1335.
58.
You
I didn't
like it
that
too much. I liked it more than that.
It was okay, but it wasn't like overwhelmingly special. For instance, I don't like Tokitsugu as a character. He's just like how he's
literally a nobody.
Yeah, he's a nobody, and he's just there.
Yeah.
He even has something that's kind of special, like he's blind, apparently.
I didn't even notice
that. Casually reveals that he's blind. Like not his he doesn't just have his eyes closed because it's funny, but because he's blind.
Yeah.
And then he says, but also I use magic to see. And and that's so many things that kind of would have...
The parts that you don't like about this.
You would have needed like a whole chapter to introduce him to Tokiyuki?
Oh, to Tokiyuki.
No.
Yeah.
Just so that we like one chapter just about him. We had a chapter about his son.
Yeah, he's always just been in the background before, either with his son or his dad.
Then in his big confrontation, he drops all of his bios, like his pronouns and where he's from and
disabilities.
Disabilities.
literary technicalities. Yeah, I didn't even know he was blind until this chapter, even though we've seen him several times before.
Yeah, that's the point. That's what I'm saying. We didn't know it.
Yeah, it's like, by the way. It is really weird.
And
How did you like the uncle showing up, though?
The uncle is good. The uncle is like the 8 points above 50 for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so this chapter, Tokitsugu fights the Tengu. Meanwhile, Uncle Yasui encourages the Suwa army. And the Sadamune's side is just thinking about strategy. But we also get a little historical lesson here. Did you like that? Where it actually shows the historians advice.
It's a
If I were those guys, I would not like being drawn giving this side-eye look. Why are they side-eyeing us?
Because no, they're side-eyeing Tokitsugu. They are like, we have no idea what we have to say about this. He just existed.
This nobody character.
I like the joke of having them drawn in this. Is it just pencils?
Yeah, pencil.
It looks so much better than the rest of the manga.
Imagine if it was all drawn like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He should do that. But also, have you read the author's comments?
No. What did he say?
Yusei Matsui says, or rather, he implies that sometimes he sleeps less than 1 hour per day.
No, that's not good.
So I think the implication is that he's working so much on this stupid manga that
he can't sleep.
That he can't sleep, and he even gets help from the Red Hood guy, and that's still not enough.
Yeah. Maybe if he just kept it pencils and didn't ink it, it'd be better.
Chances are pencils are more effort because you can't.
Oh yeah, the shading. He has to do all the
shading, and you can't give somebody like here just fill in all the blacks.
Right. Yeah, you're probably right.
On the other hand, Red Hood guy was really good at cross hatching, so maybe
you're right. Just have to
maybe let him do it.
He'll do it. He loves that sort of stuff. He'll
solo her.
Yeah. If only there were more female characters for him to solo in this series.
He would introduce such a juicy, nice character.
Well, the one girl who we always forget the name of, her goal in life is to become super strong, right?
Yeah, but
so maybe as time goes on.
I don't want it drawn in Yusei Matsui's style. I want it in Red Hood author's style.
Just tell him like let the Red Hood author draw this character every chapter. You just draw you just draw a stick figure where you want her to be, and you draw the other characters that are around her, and then he'll do that one character. Let him have that one. Is there any manga where there's like characters who are drawn by a different person than the main artist? Because Hero Academia kind of has different styles for certain characters, but it's not it's not like he hired somebody who's like, I want you to draw this one character.
The thing is, Horikoshi is such a Westaboo that he's probably the only person in the office or in the studio who would know these other styles. So he wouldn't even be able to hand it to anybody else because he's the only one who knows how the styles work. The only person in Japan who has read Tintin, the only person in Japan who has read a Turtles
original
comic
Ninja Turtles
from the 80s.
Yeah,
but from the 80s.
Everyone knows the cartoons, but so few people have actually read the old comics.
There are new Turtles comics, but characters like Spinner and Stain isn't specifically Turtles, but he's from the same
same art style.
What's the publisher? Is it Image Comics?
I think so.
He's from that era. He's from that era.
Image Comics is a bit later.
Either way, he's that kind of style. Like nobody in Japan would know that that's even a reference.
Yeah,
but it do.
Yeah. So this page is the Tengu going around really fast, doing the zero gravity attacks like Sharaku. Aliens area.
This manga Elusive Samurai has been relatively realistic. Sometimes bringing out
except now
stupid stuff like divine powers, but only for
the thing is
very specific.
The divine power in previous chapters, it could either be interpreted as meaning somebody's amazing charisma, like Yoroshige's, or sometimes it could be interpreted as just having really good intuition to stuff.
But he can see the future.
Yeah.
he literally knows some things in the future.
That could be part of having really good intuition.
No, it's going beyond. Fine.
But yeah, this chapter does go a bit further, because even that, you're like, oh, that's a little bit magical, but it's not as magical as, as jumping around at super speed and seeing without eyes. That's very magical.
If you were able to do all of these acrobatics, first of all, you'd still be visible.
Yeah.
People would be able to track you with their eyes. And also, you would be so tired after doing that.
I know. You'd burn so many calories.
It wasn't worth it.
That's something that they don't do enough in manga.
That only happens in joke stuff.
The panel where someone's super tired, like in the middle of a fight scene. I think it happens a lot at the end of a fight scene where someone collapses because they're so tired. But I think it's common in Jackie Chan movies where a character will be fighting, and then they pause and they are breathing super heavily, and they they rub wherever they got hit to show that they're hurt and tired and that time has passed, so that people won't think that they're just banging glow sticks together for 20 minutes.
But that's such a good thing to.
I know. They should put that in manga more often.
Exhaustion doesn't happen enough as a way to defeat somebody. If there was somebody who's as strong as, let's say, Cell or Merem from Hunter x Hunter, and he's extremely powerful, but if enough people get good hits on him that don't seem to do anything, he will eventually tire out. And then you have this one moment several chapters after he's beaten so many of the good guys, and it's one chapter where he maybe even fights somebody who's Yamcha level, right? And then he starts to show these signs of being exhausted and worn out and having fatigue, or maybe his elbow doesn't work anymore, as probably because he took too many hits there. But since he's so powerful and so strong, he doesn't notice it all of the time, or this is the first time that this has happened.
Yeah.
And I think that would be such a good thing to introduce in a lot of shonen series, where
even just in normal
way
fights,
too strong.
Not against someone who's way more powerful than you, but even just in a normal one-on-one kind of fight. I would like it if there would be just pauses for showing how tired everyone is getting. There's no stamina meter in a manga. So you'd have to show something like that. Actually, that probably would have made me like the current fight in Jujutsu Kaisen even more.
Yeah.
If it showed a bit of that. Because I did say this week, I'm like, please don't do another one of this, because I'm getting tired of this fight. Because it just feels like it's going on. Even though, panel to panel, I'm like, this is cool. But then it felt like it was dragging. But yeah, speaking of this series becoming more unrealistic, at the end of this chapter, so Sadamune is talking about strategy with his guys, and they're like, "Oh, well, if they are going to fully commit to fighting you and the Kokushi here, the Kokushi is going to take to the field himself." And Sadamune is like, he shouldn't do that. He should stay behind his fortifications, because obviously Sadamune knows that the Kokushi is not as good at fighting, but then he takes to the field and he's got this weird giant tank.
Another one.
This one looks more practical, because at least it's not just being carried by guys, but it's so huge. And I'm like, if they don't outright kill this guy, then by the end of the series, he's gonna be showing up in a Gundam. to fight them in a wooden Gundam. That's the direction that this is going, of like recurring jokes. If this guy keeps building bigger and bigger impractical mecha.
But it's supposed to be a joke, like to us it is, but is it a joke? It's presented as if this is actually threatening.
We'll see next week. Because I thought it was kind of like a running joke, like, oh, because last time he built the tank carried on the guy's shoulders and he lost. And now he's trying an even bigger one. Oh, this is going to be a running gag. But maybe you're right. Maybe this is supposed to be actually threatening. But I thought it was just silly.
It is a joke to me, but I think it's supposed to be threatening. Realistically speaking, this kind of mobile fortress... well, first of all, this wouldn't exist in Japan 1335. Not even 1600. This is so elaborate, and you need somebody like Da Vinci to make it for you.
Yeah, when was Da Vinci? Like the 1600s? Much later than
40.
this, wasn't it?
14 something.
Oh, 14 something? Okay. So not too much later after this.
100 years later, but he was building on Roman military technology. Like that stuff. He used a lot of that stuff.
Right. There's lots of siege towers in Roman history. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of siege towers in Japanese history, right?
Not to shit on Japan, ancient Japan at least, but like they didn't have perspective drawing until the Dutch came and showed them pictures. And a lot of the wooden architecture is like extremely good with stuff like how they don't need nails and stuff.
Yeah, the dovetail and such.
But I don't think they would have had the know-how to make this thing.
Something that big that can move.
Something that big that can move and has probably like at least 50 guys in there.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's huge.
It's too huge.
Yeah, so this was kind of like
You didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, I took it as a joke, so I was fine with it. But I can understand if you're like, oh, this is stupid.
I want from Elusive Samurai, I want two things. I want realistic, historic battles, where they talk about like, oh, this is how they did it in the olden times, and this is how you were clever in the olden times.
Right.
And I want Tokiyuki winning by fleeing.
I thought you wanted him sweating and being super excited.
I want 3 things.
3 things. All right, that's a good list. Anyway,
Maxi only wants 3 things, and it's disgusting.
Next manga we got